Welcome to Bees on a Mission, where awakened women come together to talk about the messy, magical, sometimes completely unhinged journey of remembering who the hell we are.
Yeah, unhinged is definitely it.
Unhinged. How you
We
ladies
had
doing?
hinges.
We had hinges.
We had
We
hinges.
blew the door
Found it.
off.
We
We blew the hinges
You
off the
started
door.
with unhinged. I was going to say, where were these hinges?
they were
had
probably
them.
hanging by a thread to begin with, but you know.
I think we were born without hinges. We were.
Yeah,
I think.
probably.
I feel like most people had them, but not us.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our doors are like hanging half off.
Well, yeah. Like a track
Just
house.
propped up.
We
No,
got.
they're not even doors. They're the
We
curtains.
got the curtains exactly.
Yeah. You know what? The
sheet.
sheet.
Sheets.
Just
the
separated
sheets
by
or
what?
like the
Family Dollar
beads.
sheets.
Remember the beads? We
Yeah,
were
Okay,
like
now
the
first off
beads.
though, the beads used to be classy. I used
Stop
to.
Yeah, they
listen,
was.
The beads used to be classy, and
Yeah.
only your aunt had them. The TT had them with the good that smoked weed, and they was usually at her closet or something. And
Yep.
you would, so she knew when somebody was touching her shit.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
everybody. Yeah, only cool
Yeah,
black people
I
had them
remember-
shit, and they only had them so they know when you was about to touch some shit they didn't want you to touch. They
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
like, where you going? Don't be meddling in my shit. Well, I still smoke my TTs. Yeah,
with the velvet paintings.
them belt.
Yeah,
Well,
see?
Jesus.
When I find me a
Half
velvet
naked.
painting, I'm gonna bring it on this show just so I can
As
show
you
you
should.
exactly and just stroke it.
Uh-huh.
Stroking the velvet painting.
Stroking the velvet.
Yeah. So the one velvet painting that we mentioned before that was at our parents' house, it is no longer there. It has
Dang.
been given away. So interesting. Anyway,
Who did Bob will that to?
I'm not really sure, but I know it's gone. So wasn't one of us.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. So we
I wish
should
I could have
probably
scored it.
we should mention that within the last week, G and our dad passed away. So he is no longer with us on the earth plane. And so
He's with the ancestors.
he is with the ancestors now.
He is with the
Yes, he is on the other side. All right, you guys got affirmations. You want me to go first? You Wonder Twin's going to go
Yeah,
first?
you go
Go
first.
Okay,
We always go
okay.
first.
Wow, that was
You
almost
don't have
in
Nanda,
unison.
so
I don't
Yeah.
have Nanda today, so we miss you, Nanda. So,
It's
but
okay.
we do miss
so I'm
her.
solo. I'm solo on my side. Okay. My affirmation is very much something that I am saying to myself almost on a daily basis right now and putting into practice, which is I know my worth and I set my boundaries without apology.
I like
And if
that.
you know,
Okay,
you know. Yep. You know
Yes.
about that.
We know.
I definitely
Okay.
know.
I always go first. So you go and
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay, so mine is I am fearless as hell. Nothing stands in my way.
And is twin
Huh?
Thank you,
Okay.
twin.
and won't.
Okay.
I love you.
Okay, we here for that.
We
Mine
are here
is
for that.
I break down, regroup, then get up and make shit happen. This was very much my
Okay.
life on
Okay.
Friday. This hits in the tits.
Okay.
This one
It's in the field.
This one hits right in the tits. Okay, she
I love
she
that.
was on the ancestors said that one, so they was like, yeah.
My gosh. I love it. I
Basically
love
just
that
says,
you guys.
But did you die?
No, he did. But did you
But
die?
that hangover scene.
But-
Did you die?
but did you
Did
die?
you die? Yeah, I
No.
love that. I use that very often. So today we're going to talk about the plot twist of I like this version of me better. And it's really about who we become as we figure out our worth, right? And so that has very much been happening. I know with me, I know with y'all, with just life circumstances that have been going on. Like we already knew, but boy, life has a way of lifing, right? And really kind of
Yes.
testing these things out to say, how much do you know your worth and what are you willing to tolerate and what are you not willing to tolerate? So,
Yep.
so we're going to talk about that. Okay. So somewhere along the way, many of us, like as women specifically, we didn't consciously choose to be the good girl, the people pleaser, the peacekeeper, the overachiever, the woman who smiles when she wanted to scream, and then the one that carried everyone else's emotional baggage. And then one day you kind of wake up and you're like, whose life have I been living? I don't know if that's happened to y'all, but like that definitely happened to me. Especially when you start going through ascension, you're like, who am I? Like, what is this? You know? And so maybe it's the first time you've actually met yourself in that way. And maybe the woman everyone else loved isn't really the woman your soul came here to be. And I can tell you firsthand right now, that is exactly what I am experiencing in my life.
Absolutely.
It's like, the more that my soul... Yep, go ahead.
No, so for the last 4 years, so everybody loves to be like, oh, the past version of you, past version of you, past version of you. And I did a lot of fucking shit.
Yep.
Prior to, the 4 years that I have been on this healing journey. Okay.
Yep.
A lot of fucking shit. And I'll stand and I'll own that shit. And I knew it was shit. And none of it, there's no excuse for it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But you talk about the old versions, and now you also need to speak on the version that has shown up every single day for the last 4 years. You need to talk about and recognize the version where I started removing myself from people and places where all they do is talk about other people. You start talking about somebody else, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
I just remove myself. I go into another room. I don't engage in that. That is not who I am. I'm not even trying to judge you for it, because guess what? I used to be right there. Right.
100%.
But I'm not that anymore.
No.
So I remove myself and I try to give grace and I try to give acceptance and I try to let people learn their own lessons and all of that.
Nice.
So for, in this, this plot twist is, I love this version of me. I love being able to stand here and say, I was a not great person.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I did some shit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have made it on this. I've made it here. And I forgive that version, all of those versions of me. I forgive those versions of me.
Yeah.
Because I was surviving through a lot of things, Yeah. And I hold grace for those versions of me.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
now this is where I am.
Yeah, and that's definitely why we create those versions to survive. Right?
Yes. I think about it in stages, not so much like the old version of me or this version of me. I've broken it down into stages of my life, right? I think about it like a play, right?
Yeah.
Like seriously, this is how I broke. This is like act 1, and in act 1 I was this person, and act 2 I was this person, and I like to think that at each stage of me, I grew into something that made me who I am today. So even if I wasn't at my best, it's what I needed to be to learn what I need to know now for the person I am now, right? Like, but when you get to this stage of ascension, or if you get to this stage of really loving yourself, what I find is a lot of people say, I liked it. I liked it better when you did this. I liked it when you shrunk yourself or you fit into the box that they wanted you to be in. But what I like to tell people is, well, that was your version of me anyway. Right.
Yeah.
Because you only see me as a reflection of what you want to see in yourselves and how we fit into each other's lives. Right. So it was always, it's not that I was that person. Like, I could have never been a nice person, or I could have never been a really pliable person, but in your eyes, that's what you saw. So when people say that, it automatically kind of annoys me, because it's like, to you, I've only always been what you wanted to see anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't
if they're determined to misunderstand or to make you the villain.
I was never, well, even that, right? Like in this like good girl role, like people see you as, you've always done this, or you've always done that, or, it's mostly people that want you to do something for them. It's mostly manipulative people, or people that you've taken care of all this time, and now you're focusing more on yourself and you don't have as much time to focus on them. Those are the people that point out all the things about you that they missed, and the stages
that you're not doing now.
Yeah, that you're not doing now. Not recognizing that you needed to grow. Like, and like I said, I grew out of people in these different stages. And every stage I grew up, but I also grew out of friends and relationships. And I told you I used to feel guilty about it, but now it's like I feel like letting things go is a natural progression, right? Just like when I watched my mother take her last breath, it was like that. When something that you see, something that you love so much go and slip into the eternal, right? It's like, I didn't think anything else could be taken from me, right? I felt immense loss ever since then. So it's like when people, now but I feel like that had to happen for me to grow up, as sad as it was. And I love my mom. That had to happen for me to grow up. Right. And then other things, shedding other things and other people and things and relationships dying also now I see as needing to happen for me to grow up. So I don't, as much as things do make me sad, because clearly, I'm not a robot.
Right.
I really try to focus more so on the just natural progression of everything. If things don't grow, they die, right? Anything that doesn't grow dies. So if a relationship doesn't grow, if the friendship doesn't grow, if
It does.
if the company doesn't grow, then it dies.
It goes.
So
Exactly. So I want to comment on a couple of things. So I, like you, Sean, like I have played the good girl role in many of my acts in life. That is one of the things that has been very consistent for me throughout, act 1, 2, 3, probably, and 4. And now as I come into act 5 of my life, she is gone. Finally. She showed up for four acts of my life, and now she is absolutely gone. And
you know what I'm talking about? Christina's gone.
Yeah.
I can't think of what
that was like a Medea movie, or it was a Tyler Perry. Anyway, sorry, that's all I heard. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that has been happening to me, and it's amazing how that really has rocked some people's worlds around me, because I think other people, they don't know how to process when you show up as a new character. And, they expect you to have been a certain way. And one of the things that you said that was really important is like, because they expect something of that version of you. Right. And so when you are a giver, which I have been all of my life, when you're a giver and I was an over giver, the takers don't know what the hell to do with you anymore. Right. And so that just naturally outgrows those relationships very quickly, because you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not giving anymore. Like, no, like, unless you show up to give too, I don't do that anymore.
Right.
So, so I can very much relate to that. And then I also, like when you were saying, like when your mom passed, how that was really difficult for you. And I remember in that time too, because I was connected with you during that time when your mom was transitioning. And I remember how hard that was, because you did have such a deep love and connection.
And I'm an only child.
With your
like, it wasn't like,
and you're an only child.
It wasn't like
That's
I had somebody else to kind of,
that's
you
right.
know what I mean? It was just her. It had been her and I for so long. It just, I didn't know I honestly didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't think that there was anything to do. Like, that was a huge point.
Yeah. And so what I want to say about that, like I opened and said that, our father has passed away, and I want to just say about transitions and deaths in life bring all kinds of transformation and dynamics that will happen, right? I think it's a natural catalyst with people and with families and with, family dynamics and friends and whoever it might be that's connected to that person. And in this, like, I will say that, and Bridget and I have mentioned this before, like, G and I didn't grow up close at all. And actually, through this whole transition, it has actually strengthened our relationship.
Absolutely.
That has probably not been something that is looked on favorably by all people around us, but that's too bad, because that's what it was supposed to do. And so, it's just like, but what you realize in this is like, okay, I'm responsible for what is going on with me. I don't own the feelings, and I don't own the things for everybody else around us. Right.
Like,
so
it's not my responsibility to be the version of me that you want
Nope.
me to be. Like,
Correct.
I am not yours to categorize. And
That's
when you,
correct.
right? Because even mother, father, husband, wife, like, nobody has a claim to us. We honor these
No,
relationships, and we,
that's right.
because of these relationships, we give ourselves to people. Like we
Yeah.
do. Like if you're my husband, I'm your wife, I'm your person. I am
Yep.
supposed to be what you want me to be, right? Because
Right.
it's transactional, right? Or that's
Right.
how
Right.
right. That's how we see it as transactional. If I'm your daughter,
Right.
I'm supposed to take care of you. I'm supposed to, we're
Right.
supposed to, but a lot of times in these relationships, the respect is not mutual. It isn't.
Correct.
It is. It is a lot of times one-sided. Or
Yeah.
either it's super transactional. You do this for me, I
Yeah.
do this for you. If you don't do anything for me, I won't do anything for you. And
That's
it's all.
correct.
And but the most important part of is no matter what, you're always you, and you can give of yourself, but never completely give yourself to
That's
somebody.
correct.
Never lose yourself in this
That's correct.
transactional situation or in the unit of it all. Because at the end of the day, when all those things are gone, you will only have yourself.
Yes.
And
That's
we all
right.
know because we have sat with ourselves
Yep.
and beat
That's
ourselves
right.
up about decisions that we have made and things that we have given when we didn't have.
Yep.
Right. And for
Yep.
a lot of us, that's self care, right? That's how I put myself back in check. But I have to sit with myself to actually
Yeah.
think about the things that I've done, to actually think about just how much that you've actually given and how it's taken a toll on you because you are the recipient of it. You are going
That's
to
right.
sit in pain or
And I actually told Wendy in this moment, and she can testify to this or whatever, that if she had to misalign with me so she could have comfort in this, that was fine. Like I did not and did not want to I will be there for her 100% regardless, but I didn't want her impacted.
Yeah.
I think because of this, even before this, when the whole situation, the whole sisterly reconnection of the two of you, I think that it happened so organically, right? Even though it took a long time, and that had nothing to do
Yep.
with either of you. I want to go on
Yeah.
record saying that I know the
Yep.
reason why you two weren't close wasn't because of the two, because you two have always been connected. There's just always something. There's been
Yep.
someone standing in the middle of the connection because they knew if the two of your love actually stayed connected, the two would be too powerful to be controlled. Right?
Correct.
Keeping
That's
the two
correct.
of you having you not be able to protect G and having G not be able to protect you made it really easy to control you both. But once the two
Correct.
of you came back at the point of your life that you were supposed to, nothing could stop that. And
That's correct.
I think that is so apparent. I think the energy between the two of you now is just so
Yep.
immense that
Yep.
the thought of it to the people that are opposed to you two
Yeah.
really hurts their soul. Like, because they know it's nothing they could do about it. They know
No.
that you two are locked in and that there's
Yep.
nothing they can do about the love because it can't be tainted. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in that, I feel like they're really doubling down on trying to hurt the two of you separately.
Yeah. So, what's interesting is like, I'll respond to like what you just said, G, was like, yes, you did. You gave me that out. He was like, look, you don't need to stand for me. You don't need to do this if it's going to impact what was going to happen with you. But see, the problem is that was an old version of you trying to protect me in some sort of way that doesn't work anymore. Because the thing is like, yeah, and probably in past, unfortunately, I probably would have taken that out. I probably would have been like, yeah, I probably need to shrink away over here because I'm a peacekeeper and I'm whatever. But what I'm telling you is that in this situation, I have learned like I am not any of those things anymore. I don't shrink anymore. And I am not turning my back on you because I think that, that's going to be better for me. Hell no. That is not the path forward. That's not the path forward. Like you said, Sean, it's like, no, I see very clearly where the path is, where the alignment is, and it is no longer the things that it used to be. And so I have to just accept that is what it is, And I did have a moment the other night where I was like laying there and I was like, God, you are leveling everything down to the studs for me.
Yep.
Okay. Every single thing is being leveled. And so those that I have in my life, I am so grateful for you guys, because I know that what remains is real. Like, you know, you guys,
like the
and
foundation
Amanda,
is solid now, right?
It is
all of our
solid.
foundation is
Oh,
solid. But
yes,
had these things not happened for us, we would have been trying to build on these same rocky foundations.
correct.
What we
Falling
have moving
apart,
forward, and then
falling
wondering
apart.
why we can't continue to build, right?
Yeah, building
Yeah.
on sand,
Right.
eggshell.
Basically building on water. We was going
Yeah,
nowhere.
exactly.
It was
We were
so
floating.
it was so fluid. It was constantly washing
Yeah.
away. We were still
Yep.
trying to build. Then the tide
Yep.
would come.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, Sean, because we both met with Kathy in the last couple of days, you know, for our check-ins with her, and she's amazing. And one of the things that she said to me was, there are a few more things in my life right now that are firming up my foundation. And it's like, once that happens, I'm telling you, the visions of like what she's seeing and what I've been shown and what I've shared with you guys, like, it is astronomical, the stuff, right? And so she was like, that's why I know it feels like a kind of like a clearing of everything right now, but that's what it had to do for you guys, because you have to be able to hold what's coming. And what's coming is not anything small, right? And it takes all of you, and all of you being sound, to be able to build this, right? And then the other folks that are coming in, same thing with Nanda, right? Nanda's coming in too, like same thing. And, you know, we're like telling her, like, if anything's got to be cleared, it's going to be cleared, because
we had a 2-hour conversation with her last night to be like,
we did.
listen.
I'm so
This is
bummed
what's
I missed
happening.
most of that. Some of us had to go to the rodeo.
Some
of you had to go to the rodeo.
Some of us had to go to the rodeo.
And
Of all
let me
people,
just say the obvious thing. The 3 white girls were not at the rodeo, okay? And you're the one that's at the
listen,
rodeo,
I
okay?
wait every year to get my rodeo outfit so I can
That's
go to the
incredible.
rodeo and stunt my shit. I'm telling you what, I was so cute at the rodeo, y'all. Listen,
You were very cute at the rodeo.
At the rodeo.
They should
rodeo
hate.
shirt. They hated me at the rodeo, and then the rodeo hated me when it poured rain and lightning on me.
Yeah,
on my rodeo leather shorts.
And we were doing our 888 manifestations when that was happening.
Yes. But you know what, though? That was a representation of the clearing, a flood. Things are about to flood into our lives, and that was just clearing. That rain was unreal, right? You could hear it. That
was unreal.
You couldn't. It just looked like sheets just coming down of rain. And I was just saying, when I picked up my car, I was like, it would rain, because it would rain. And G was like, that's just the blessings raining down. It's
that's
fine.
right.
Like, that's just the blessings. So when I was standing there taking my pictures in front of my new car in the rain, I was like, that's right, blessings just keep raining down.
That's right.
Which is also,
rain on down.
I want to say that I really love having you two in my life too, because you need somebody to hype you up, and you two are always the best. Like you two are the best hype men. Like even at our lowest, like even at any of our lowest, we are still a vibe for each other, right? We always, and it's natural. It's not even like you have to rally. It's just like, girl, you the shit. You fine. Like you got this. It ain't you. It's them. What the like, you know what I mean? Like we're always like, and we do that for other people too. I don't want you to think that we just like send the love for ourselves. Like we are definitely out here like hyping everybody up. But we definitely in these streets. But I mean, just amongst ourselves, I suggest anybody that watches our show, if you do not have your group, right? If you do not have your people, I suggest that you find your people. And I don't mean just find anybody, because we've all had friend groups before us. We've all had friend groups before us that we try to fit into. And the crazy part is all those friend groups have kind of fallen apart. And we are back down to like core groups, you know, like we branched off into like all different ways, and with all managed to come right back stronger than, you know, and it was just like nothing ever happened. And then we got Nanda, and it was like, oh my God, this is like full circle.
But the thing is it's so funny, because we each all try to give us an out. Like, if you don't want to do this, like, this is the shit I'm bringing. But it's
also because we've been dragged into other people's shit without anybody ever asking or considering us.
That's right.
And just had to go along with it. So we all know how that feels. to be dragged into somebody else's shit. So we're all just like, hey, listen, I got this going on, and it's okay if that's not what you're into, because this is just what, and I won't be mad, right? So we're all just like, but
we're open, we're honest,
that's all our personalities. We meet people where they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. We just meet people
right. When we love them for exactly who they are.
Exactly.
And we don't need to talk about anybody else.
No.
It's just us and what's going on and what's beautiful.
I love a person figuring it out. Like, you ever looked at somebody that is a complete mess and you're like, girl, okay, I feel you. Like, I like you have these young kids and you got this job and you got this other job, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, she's a mess. And and you're just like, no, she's fine.
Yeah.
She's doing it. Or
I have a couple of those that I actually watch. I watch silently. The one that was young and separated, and she's doing
and everybody's you notice everybody's always talking shit. Like, nobody can see the beauty in the fact that this person is balancing all these things. And the old me would be like, yeah, Jesus, why don't she just get a man? Why this bitch ain't got no babysitter? Why she don't ask her mama? You know what I mean? Like, making all these things that I had as a resource, right? And that's why things went down for me. So you try to apply that, all she needs is this, all she needs is that. Well, she's stupid because she should have went and found it. That's not, maybe she just doesn't know. And you know what a big thing for me was, and I'll go on record saying this, I used to hate to see girls at the school with bonnets on. I used to hate to see moms with bonnets or with a robe. Now, I know why the robe, because my mom used to come to my school in a robe, or come not so much in a robe, but used to come out the house in a robe. And I would be so embarrassed to talk to somebody else's mom. She had this plaid robe. She'd be, And then you'd be like, girl, why the hell you just come put on a t-shirt and some shorts, come out here in a robe? Right? And it used to drive me crazy. And I used to be very judgmental of other girls, especially like when my kids were in pre-K, because you have to walk your kids in. And they would be in the bonnet or the slippers or whatever. And then one day I looked and I was like, you know what? That girl is here every day in that bonnet. She don't make her baby walk from the car because she don't want to get her hair wet. She don't make her baby do nothing. She come and and she's protecting her. What the fuck? Why are you in this girl's business? And then I immediately was like, what the fuck has that got to do with you? Because you don't wear a bonnet. That's your business. Maybe you should be wearing a bonnet too, stupid. Like, the hell? You'd only want to pay $200 to get your hair done every 2 weeks. Shit, that hair you've been in for her for a month. She's smarter than you. You know what I mean? Like, and it just took me to really see that it doesn't matter what you're wearing, as long as you show up, especially for your kids, right? Who the hell am I to be judging somebody showing up in whatever? Because the reality is you showed up, and that's really all that matters. And I started to mind my business when it comes to other people. I don't give a shit what you got on. I don't care what you're doing.
Exactly.
You
what
here,
you look like.
Yeah, you're here. I'm here. We're both here. We both living. Shit, just because I got all dressed up, I had time. You didn't. And even if maybe you just didn't want to. You don't like clothes. Whatever. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. So I want to say something about that. One of the things that you mentioned was like, where we put our friend groups together in our past acts, throughout our lives. And we all did that. And, and then I look at how you do that now. And it's so different now when you become back to yourself and that you spiritually know who you are, because that alignment is so different now. Like when you were younger in like those earlier acts of your life, right? You aligned yourself with people who liked the same things, looked the same way,
was comfortable,
hung out,
familiar.
Did the same shit you did, like whatever. Like it was like all this group think kind of shit, right? It's like, how many people were really in your friend groups that were like completely individual? And it's like, probably, maybe as you grew through your acts, maybe there were a couple here and there, but like most of y'all are the same, right? And that's why you got together, because you guys are all the same.
Wait, then you'd be surprised when you're going somewhere, y'all all got on the same black blazer.
Exactly.
Fucking jeans, slides,
it's like
y'all all look alike. On your
the same uniform.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's
like,
that's
girl,
what happens.
You cute too. Bitch, we got on the same.
Yeah. It's like, well, we're wearing the exact same thing. It's like, okay.
Right.
But so in this act of our lives and what we're doing now, it's like, we all can't be any different from one another. Like, and that's the beauty of it. But we all get along so well because we are authentically who we are, and we can appreciate that about each other. Be like, okay, the commonality here is one, we all know our worth and we all respect one another and see the beauty in each other, right? And hype each other up for who you are, not who I want you to be or who I
right,
need you
yes.
to be to make me feel some sort of way. Because I don't need you to do that anymore. Like,
Right. I just want you to be the best version of yourself. Yeah. Seeing
exactly,
you be the
because
best
that
version
makes
of
me
yourself
better.
brings me joy. Right. Brings
Exactly.
me joy.
And it makes me better. It makes you better. It makes
Yeah.
us as a
Yeah.
community better,
Yep.
right? And then when you
Yes.
start growing that and you roll deep like that, that changes sections of the world. Are you kidding me? Like, that's
Right.
where this whole mission goes, because that's what happens. You're going to start magnetizing and magnetizing. It's like we become a giant fucking magnet. Okay. That's
Yep.
what's happening. And we're going to magnetize all these other people in that are just
Yep.
like that too. Right. And
That's
then
right.
it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I love that for us because I think that's
Yep.
amazing.
Yes.
One of the things I want to talk about is like, okay, so we talked about stages and acts, and I love that you said that, Sean, because that's exactly what this is. It's like the characters that you've played, right? So like women become actors before they become themselves, right? So you think about all the roles that you played, but every season of your life requires a different character to show up, right? A different woman. We don't ever stay the same forever. So there are different like feminine archetypes. They're not like rigid stages, but like energies that we move throughout our lives, you know? So like you think about like as you're younger, it's like the maiden, right? So the maiden is somebody who's curious and hopeful and learning who she is. This is probably like in your 20s ish, you know, like late teens, 20s. That's that maiden energy.
Listen, this was like 14.
Right.
This is like
Okay,
12,
okay.
14.
So it
Remember?
started for you like early. Okay,
Yeah.
young.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then you become the mother, right? And this is
Yeah.
not just motherhood, but although it was motherhood for you guys younger, right? For
Yeah.
me, it was older. But that's the woman who nurtures everybody, who creates, who builds, and who carries everything, right? And a lot of times that nurturing also becomes self-abandonment, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
you're caring about everybody else and not yourself. Okay. And then the next archetype is the martyr. All right. And this woman, okay. And this woman believes her worth comes from sacrifice. She earns love. She proves herself. She keeps everyone comfortable. And how many of us have actually seen women get stuck in this phase for a very long time? And maybe that's the act that they play for the rest of their lives. And the problem is like how many of those people were actually rewarded for all of that sacrifice that they give away.
Right.
Right? So it's like, I don't know
Probably
about
not
you, but I'm not interested
Probably
in
like
being
1
the
in 12.
martyr.
Not at
Exactly.
all.
Exactly. Okay. And then the next archetype that I want to talk about is actually the one that I know that I am fully moved into now and I'm starting to embody, which is the warrior. And that's the woman who finally starts saying no. And she creates boundaries and she leaves unhealthy situations and she speaks up. Right. So the warrior is sometimes, often she's the one who's misunderstood because people confuse her boundaries with like bitterness or selfishness. And that's not the case, right? She's finally starting to understand who the fuck she is. And she's not allowing people to take advantage of that anymore. And then is my next favorite, which I think I have like, I'm moving toward this, is the mystic. And she begins listening inward instead of outward for her validation, for her direction, for her understanding of who she is as a soul. She starts trusting her intuition and she becomes less interested in fitting in and more interested in being authentic. And I think that's what all of us
Been a
have
mystic
started
for
to
a minute.
embody.
I've been so over people bullshit. I've been a mystic for a minute. I told you in my past life regression, I've been a mystic in every life. I was
Yep.
told, but in my last life, I was killed for being a mystic, and I was killed by a king or queen. I told you, who stabbed me in the chest, stabbed me right in the chest because I had everybody believing in me over them.
Yep.
So the people.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think I've been destined to be the mystic for a long time.
Yeah, I can totally see that about you, Sean, and you still are now. Like that's who you are. I think I have embodied mysticism in all of my lives too. I have very much, and some of them, been solidly like a shaman and have moved as a shaman in my life. Very much accused and misunderstood as a witch, and then got my ass killed and burned up, and
I've probably been burned so many times. Every life.
I have birthmarks in all of the right areas to prove that that is the case. So it's interesting. But anyways, so the mystic is the one who starts to say what feels true instead of what do people think, because you don't care about that anymore. And you realize, like, man, my plan is inside the whole time. Like, nobody outside can tell me. And even like, I think it's beautiful because, like, even like when we speak into each other's lives, because we'll be moved to share things with each other, or encouragements, or, things that pop up, or visions, whatever. And even when Kathy speaks to us, right? Because she's our spiritual mother that's making sure, whatever. Most of the time that Kathy will say something to me, and I'm sure it's the same way with you guys, there's already a knowing. Like, she's just confirming and saying, like, you already know this. And I was like, son of a bitch, yes, I do. I already do know this.
Why didn't I just believe in my damn self?
And she's like, why aren't you listening to this? You already know. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So, but we need those people in our lives that'll start to kind of make sure, right? And then there is the sovereign woman. And she isn't perfect. She isn't trying to be, but she knows who she is. She doesn't need permission. She doesn't shrink. She doesn't chase. She doesn't perform. And she belongs completely and fully to herself. And ultimately, if you're walking this path, that's who you become. Ultimately, you are sovereign, right? Because now you are fully embodied as the mystic, as the warrior, and as the woman that won't shrink, won't overgive, won't people please, and doesn't need anything outside of herself to be healed and full and validated anymore.
I was gifted a shirt that says sovereign, and I love that shirt so hard, and I don't wear it enough. I'm gonna have to dig it out, but I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah, you gotta wear that. You gotta wear that, because I think that's true.
We're basically having to be naked today because
she's the only one cold. Okay,
cold.
She don't even hot. I feel this is the first time ever that I'm not freezing. Okay, so I'm right at the window. It's a nice breeze. This one is about to die.
Oh,
melting.
My gosh. Yeah,
she's the cutest little melted though.
Stop it.
Yeah,
I know lights are gonna start. Stop touching.
Oh God! I haven't touched.
Actually, you're so much colder than me. You feel this?
Yeah, I'm not warm. I am comfortable, but
I'm gosh. But for this part, I've always, my problem was I got stuck in the warrior position for way too long.
Yeah.
And
do you know what I've been saying? Just because I can fight doesn't mean I have to fight.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, it's my go-to, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm good at it. I am, like, I'm good at a physical altercation, a verbal altercation. It's just like, just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I have to. Like, I don't always have to fight. And I've been so good about that for like years now. Yeah. But I was literally sitting by myself, and that came to me. It was like, just because I can fight don't mean I want to fight or I have to. Like, that doesn't always have to be the option. You could just not care.
I'll start giving you chips, like sobriety chips.
Yeah, it's
not fighting chips.
Yeah, it's like you just don't care. Well, some people need to be taught a hands-on lesson. I'm gonna go on record saying some people don't learn until you punch them in the face. You could tell somebody they ain't never been punched in the face.
You gotta.
When you meet them, you can just tell that person. He was like, "Ain't nobody ever punched you in your face," and it shows.
Yep.
It shows.
Yeah.
But I also don't have to punch people in the face. I could mind my business.
Yep.
Which I have.
You could. Yeah, you could.
I don't always have to choose violence.
I have never been a warrior. There wasn't anything inside of me ever that was, right? Yeah. And so now she has landed. And she's always been there. But see, I have to go through that for me, because that's part of my becoming. That's part of me being able to be my own protection, to be my own divine masculine, to be my own stability, to be able to say, we don't do this anymore. And now, I will also have protectors, in life as a healer, for sure. But you have to become that for yourself first. Yep. You have to embody that first. And that is very much in action right now, that and the mystic. At the same time.
Listen, or sometimes that's a double-edged sword too, because sometimes, like me, I'm so strong that people don't feel as though I need to be protected because I can handle my own. Like, sometimes just like,
I'm
it's always,
every time.
it's always,
it doesn't matter.
well, I mean, just like sometimes like in my group, like if like with my husband, right? Like my husband knows, like I have a really slick mouth. Like, as soon as you get me started, they usually call the police after. It's not gonna like the argument, it always goes left or whatever. But for a long time when I would fight with like his family, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't protect me in any way.
Oh,
He would just leave me to do it like anybody else. He would swoop in. It wouldn't go past 2 sentences. Whatever it came to like his family, he was silent, like wouldn't say anything. And he's like, well, and his thought process was, why do you care what they say? Like, why do you even care? And why do you care? Like, it's not true. Like, why do you care?
Yeah.
But he didn't think to ever like show up for me in that arena, right? It was like, well, you got it. Like, you go head back to back with you, shut him down every time, like by yourself. And then I had to tell him, like, even though I can defend myself, doesn't mean it doesn't hurt to hear people say these things to me.
That's right.
Like, I'm still a human. Like, even though I'm quick witted and I turn it right back around and usually they end up crying, doesn't mean that it's that I can just absorb all these things and be okay.
But that's part of the warrior mentality. Like everybody sees you as the warrior.
Right. And then they don't
they got it.
They just expect you to protect yourself and them all the time. And then a lot of times people don't show up for you. And sometimes the warrior gets tired too. Right?
Yeah.
Like the warrior gets run down because usually the warrior is the family fighter. Everybody comes against the warrior for everything. So you fight your battles, their battles, look, and then you so mad about somebody, you try to shut it down for forever. I don't want them to, I'm gonna act real crazy, so they'll never come back after my family ever again, right? So then you end up just being this version of yourself for other people, right? And then that fight or flight reflex for me is really hard to come down. Like once you get me up here fighting for you, I'm there for days, right? Everything is here. Everything is this intense. And it's very hard for me to come down from that. And people come and get me.
That's why the two of you are exactly the same.
For so much stuff that it's like it could go weeks where you are always here. But the crazy thing about that is Kathy, because again, Kathy's all of our mentor, and you guys are going to hear us say Kathy all the time. She's for us. Kathy says that, but you know what, Sean, is crazy? That's when you're at your best. And you know what's crazy is I know that to be true. I know it to be true. When my senses are heightened, I'm going to take care of everything. Everything is going to get done. It's going to get done quick. Like it's going to be no BS. Like I operate my best there.
Yeah, that's when
but
you're
then
tapped
it's like after weeks of that though, you are very drained. So
I can
finding a balance, like really finding a balance. And then also sometimes you got to be honest and be like, bitch, fight for yourself this week. Like what? I can't keep calling your boss because how the hell do you even still have a job? Wait a minute. Like,
exactly.
Then you say, well, why do you work there? If I got to keep calling, make it like, you start really reevaluating the people in their life that keep coming to get you to fight. It's like, well, why are we always here, friend? Like, why do I always got to fight your husband? Why is he your husband?
Exactly.
Like, what?
This clearly is not
part
going
of the things
well.
that we're no longer doing.
Like what, girl? What? It's like, again, you realize that you've been really burning it at the candle at both ends for a long time for people that are just doing stupid shit. Right?
So I think, that's really good. And when you're saying those things, I think one of the things that I want to round back to about these feminine archetypes that we talk through, the maiden, the mother, the martyr, the warrior, the mystic, the sovereign woman. Okay. They all can still be part of who you are as you grow. There's just different pieces of them that maybe fall away, right? Because listen, the maiden that shows up when you're young, listen, that one has like a little bit of fire, passion, spark, like it don't know what the hell, but it's like, it's not afraid. Like it's experimental, it's creative, it's finding herself, like it's just out there, right? we all, even if you're in your 4th, 5th act, like you want to have the maiden in you. Like that's something that you still want to always keep, right?
Right.
Because that's part of who you are and your passion and your relationships and whatever. Like you still want to keep her. And so each one of these archetypes does have something that it's taught you that you bring along with it. It's just kind of like if you just get stuck in that and just stay there.
Right.
I think that's like what you're saying, Sean. It's like, yeah, man, I can warrior all day, every day. Like that's an archetype that comes great for me. But like, look, if I got to get stuck there for weeks, man, that's not going to do me
Right.
any favors because listen,
Exactly.
I need to be a mystic too. And I need to be a mother to myself, to other people. If I'm worrying all the time, I can't be some of these other things. And so like there's pieces of those and there's a fluidity that happens. But I think with some of us, we get stuck at certain junctures, like I think for the two of you, you probably went right up through, like you said, like you were the maiden and the mother real young for both of you.
Yep.
You probably became the martyr as a result of that because you got to be
At like 30.
sacrificing.
At like 30, I was the mother
Yeah.
already. So.
Yeah, like you were maiden, you were like
Not even,
maiden,
Nothing,
mother,
right? About
martyr,
25.
Yeah,
all at the
25,
same time.
25.
because then you had to become the warrior, right?
Right,
Like,
real quick.
what?
Right,
And
real
then
quick.
you
By
were
the time
the-
your kids
and
is in
yeah.
school, you got to be the warrior.
Right. And then you warrior activated, but then you probably stayed in that warrior mode for a very long ass time, right?
Yes,
Yes.
I did.
With
Till
everybody
you're
and
8 years old.
everything.
Yes.
Right? Because the world is going to throw shade at your asses for being young
Yes.
mothers and
Yep.
doing things that were unconventional and not by the books of the society and whatever. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, you had to be a warrior. Are you kidding me?
For not
Like,
being tribalized.
Yep.
yeah, exactly. And so now,
Both
so
of
those
us,
pieces,
biracial relationships.
Yeah, just shenanigans.
Correct.
We was
Just
doing it all.
everything. We checked
just,
every
we was out there
box
doing
there
it all.
was.
We was just living.
yeah.
Living.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, if you're gonna go in, you might as well go in. Like you just jump in the deep end,
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Like you just did it.
You know how
You
we
just
do.
did it.
The whole thing.
Yep.
All the nothing.
All of it.
And so yeah. So I really just wanted to say that to say like you don't shed all of those pieces completely because they each taught you something. You bring it along with you, and some of them like are really important for your whatever stage you're in, and like a
You bring
later
the best
act
parts into the
stage.
next steps. You
Yeah.
bring the
That's
best
right.
parts into the next
And don't get
stage
stuck.
because those are the parts that got you to the next stage. Actually.
That's right. That's right.
Like to the next
And
stage of the play. Like those good parts are the ones that got you to the next stage. And then a whole bunch of stuff happened. And then those 3 good parts connected with the next 3 parts for the next stage got you into the sovereign phase.
That's correct. That's correct. So I'm going to ask both of you a question. So if a previous version of yourself walked into the room, this could be 6-year-old you, 16-year-old you, 25-year-old you, a people pleaser, the heartbroken version, the angry version, whatever. Which one of those versions of you, if they walked in, would you give the biggest hug to?
Oh, it's a 6-year-old for me.
Yeah. Same. Because I think in order to get to, I feel like any healer, any mystic, anybody with any sort of mediumship like we have, I think you had a rough start. I think all of us had a really rough start. And by 6, we needed a hug. By 6 is we really needed somebody to see us and understand us. And the fact that we didn't have that is the reason why we became the warrior that we were. We became the mystic that we were. Like all of those things led us to seek the next step or set us up for what was going to happen next. Like, we had to go through those things, but even though I had to go through those things, I would have liked to be seen more. I would have liked to have more hugs. I would have liked for somebody to just say it was okay, or either just say, hey, this is not normal. This is not normal, but you're doing okay with it. You know?
Imagine that.
Yeah, can you
Somebody
imagine
saying it was
if somebody saw us like we see our children, and the reason why we see our children the way that we do is because that's what we lacked. The reason all the things that make us good parents are because of the traits of the ones that we had. We didn't want to bring them to the next generation. We knew that
with us, we didn't figure that out. We were too young.
Yeah,
we were too young to.
But some of the things, I struggle with this all the time. Some of the things that my mom did, some of the disciplinary things that she did, right? I feel like I should have done a little more of that. And I was so angry as a child that I didn't have the autonomy that I thought I should have had, right? That I should have been able to do the things I should have did. And she was very much on track with making sure those weren't behaviors that I moved forward with, right? So when
Right.
my kids were 10, 12, I always made sure they had a platform to say exactly how they felt. And as long as they could advocate well for themselves, I would move in that direction. But now I got a whole bunch of that they should have been lawyers, is what they should have been, seeing as how I set them up for success. But what they do is just debate me about every goddamn thing. Right, whether
Exactly.
it's right or wrong. And as parents, we already have the experience and we already know what's going to happen. But because
Right.
I set them up to advocate for themselves so well,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
constantly, well, but this is how I wanted to be. So
Yeah.
I wish I would have knocked the fire out of them just a little bit. You know what I mean? Just kind of made them a little more scared of me so they just listen.
Yeah.
And not let them be as fiery as they were, especially, we all have daughters. We have sons too, but we all have daughters. So I never I never wanted to knock the fire out of my daughters that they wouldn't be able to defend themselves, right? I always wanted them to stay spry. I always wanted them to stay quick.
Same.
I always wanted them to have a slick tongue, okay? You don't have to bow to no man. You don't have to listen to what a man say. Your father is a perfect example. Your father does not ask anything of me. I don't have to be meek or docile or mild. You don't have to bring that into a relationship. So I've always wanted to make sure they could defend themselves, because that's one thing that I always admired about my mother and my grandmother, is that they could go toe to toe with anybody, man or woman. And they made sure by the time I was like 7 that I could as well.
See, where mine was different because mine became non-confrontational because I'd be the one to step in every time. Like, you don't have to have that confrontation. I got it.
Yeah.
The only thing like I was drilling into my daughter was just always make sure you are independent. You're independent. You have a job. You have your own money, where if you need to walk away, and I should have never had to instill that in anybody, but I just never wanted them to have to rely on somebody else ever. Because
and
I'm very much still in that stage with my daughter, and like all of the things, it's so interesting. It's like, because I'm learning, and as I'm learning, I'm teaching her things that she should know now at 12 that I'm just learning for myself much later in life, right?
That's us with our grandkids. Like your grandbabies are still fairly young, right? They're like
2 and 1.
Yeah, 2 and 1. Mine are
3 and 1.
about to be 8 and 10. Right.
Okay.
So these are all things that I'm learning now, or like especially like self-care stuff, especially like any of my manifestation rituals, like anything, gardening, anything I share with them. I make sure that they know. But and we gotta think about it too, like with our kids, especially with me and G, because we were young, we were so busy doing it that we didn't really have time to teach it to anybody. It just needed to be done, and you had to do it
between all the other
things that you're doing, right? So when you're knee deep in parenting, right, you don't really have time to really put the fine tuning on learning things. And I think as parents, I think you miss that step, unless you're a stay-at-home mom, right? Or if you have have some sort of situation where you can nonstop be with your child. Those of us that had to work 1 or 2 jobs or what have you, you just really didn't have that time. And now that I own my own business, I make my own schedule, and I make sure that I can have time for my grandkids. Like now that things are slower for me, I'm more in a teaching role. I'm way more more nurturing with my grandkids. I'm way more. I want them to know everything. Right. With my kids, it just needed to be done, but it was no time to teach anything but like the basics. Like I taught them how to wash the clothes and clean up after themselves and stuff like that. But a lot of
I just enjoy the moments.
Right now we have so much time to just like look. And our kids get mad. Like my kids get mad when I'm like teaching my grandkids. I'm like, you didn't have time to do. You didn't do that with us. Like, who cares? And your grandma did it with you. Your grandma did the same things that I'm doing with you. You think your grandma sat down and was teaching me anything or was nice about anything with me? No, she was too busy running her life and still making sure I was okay. So no,
that's right. That's right. I have a unique situation. It's like I had my daughter later in life, and, my work is more fluid. So I can be with her. I can be at all of her things. I can do the things and I don't take any of that for granted at all because I know that
still
my
did that,
situation
though.
is unique.
Me too.
I still did that. Single parent.
On time.
I still did that.
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I didn't regret at all. Like, I don't care what it was dance, it was football, baseball, basketball,
Girl Scout,
chess, Boy Scouts, the plays, the drama club, whatever.
We had baseball,
I never missed one of any of my kids' stuff ever.
Yep.
School stuff.
Yep.
And my
that
kids
was
last minute
just
too.
me, and I was rearranging schedules at work so I could still provide and make the money and still come and
Still
make
be there.
sure
that
like,
they knew they were supported.
even though, even though, young and I didn't know how to do the best love and healthy and relationship, whatever.
You did the best you could with what you had.
But
That's right.
We all did, right?
That's what everybody does.
Every step you do the best you could with what you had. We didn't have the knowledge that we have now. We just knew that we were going to be more patient than our parents. We were going to be more present than our parents. And we didn't. That's all we knew, right?
See, mine was protecting. I was going to protect them no matter what, because I didn't have the protection. And I was going to be. See, with me, it was just being there and protecting. Like that's what I needed as a kid. So that's what I was giving to my kids. But they could have needed something completely different.
Yeah, they could.
Well, you gave them what was important to you.
That's right.
You
to you.
And that's
what we all kind of do, right? We all, like you're saying, Sean, it's like you do the best you can with what you have. And I think, I never thought I would even have a kid. And then it happened for me, but it was, so much later on. And so like, I'm kind of a little bit of the odd man out because, I am an older mom now with a younger child, like most people that are my age have grandkids and start doing that. Right. I can't even imagine that for myself actually, but my journey is like I'm blessed now because I get to pour into her in a very different way, especially now that I am. And she's watching me evolve, like she's watching me evolve now, because if I had stayed the version that I was of this kind of, martyr, not warrior, not awakened, not choosing myself, getting my validation externally, all that stuff, my daughter would have followed suit with that. And I don't know what that have done. But now because she sees me actively doing that, it's teaching her. And so I make a point to say to her, like, listen, she was stuck in a car with me for hours this weekend, right? So it's like, so we talk about all these things. And I was like, listen, you don't need anybody to tell you that you're amazing because you already are. Like, and she's like, I know, Mom, you tell me this all the time. I was like, yeah, and I'm going to keep telling you this until you understand, like, you don't need anyone to tell you. She's like, Mom, I got it. Like, I know. It's like, okay. Yeah. And I actually think she does. And the other thing that was really hard for me.
She does not.
She does. She has a really strong foundation. I mean, I actually envy her sometimes because her foundation is so solid at 12 that I'm like, girl, dang, like you are going to kill it in life. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Like, I love that for her.
But that's what we all want, right?
Yes.
We all want the best for our kids. Yep. And you being a parent later in life.
Yes.
Set you up for being able to be the type of parent that you wanted and needed to be.
That's right.
Right? And like me and G were looking for love very early in life. Okay. We were looking for the attention that we didn't feel as though we had everywhere besides in our homes, because we already looked for it there, and it wasn't enough shaking over there. So we went to somebody else's home, somebody else's son's home, and then we brought somebody else home with us. That's when it happened. We had so much fun over at the other house. Then we came back with house guests.
Yes, you had a souvenir. You brought a souvenir. Yes. Yeah, you had a guest gift. But the hardest conversation that I had with her this weekend was one that I wanted her to understand was that, look, you and I have a soul bond because you're my daughter, right?
She's sitting on me already. Sorry.
Is she? Okay.
Yeah.
You and I have a soul bond, just like we all do with our kids, right? You are our soul. They are our soul people. Okay. And
Yes.
I explained this to her and I was like, you are a soulmate for me in a very beautiful way. But even if it comes to a point in life where you can't be with me or you can't choose to be with me because you have to choose something different for yourself, I understand. Like, just know that, like, I will always understand that you have to do that. And she was like, Mom, I don't think that's, I was like, well, I'm just putting it out there because I don't ever want you to be tortured into thinking like, I can't leave my
You're stuck with
mom.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
like
stuck
I
with me.
can't leave my mom because I'm going to pursue a big dream for myself and I'm
Yeah.
somehow connected with mom. Like, and she needs, I was like, no. I want you to always choose you. You always
I'm going
choose
through
you.
that right kind of now with my son because he's a senior, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
Kathy keeps saying, he wants to go far. I don't know. I don't have him going to college here. He wants to go, like, he wants to go far. So
Yep.
keep telling him, like, you can go wherever you want, right? Like, you
Yep.
don't have to stay
Yep.
here for sure.
That's right.
Like, I've heard you talking about Florida. Like, you could go to, you can go wherever you want. I will come
Yep.
and visit you. I will
That's
support
right.
you. You can
That's
go
right.
wherever you want. Like, your home is not where I am. I can be
That's
where
right.
you are.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. And if you want to go far, sadly, like, and you don't want to go by yourself, I might go with you.
Exactly. You're like, hey,
I might
we
go.
might
I
go
might
on.
go with you if you just need something
Yeah.
familiar, or send your dad. I don't know.
Yep.
Your sister can go to college there too, maybe.
Exactly. Exactly. But I mean, that's a hard thing to
go
do
and
as
do
a
it.
parent, but you have to realize that there's a part of you that, spirit will bring you kind of to the end of yourself where you're like you said before, Sean, it's like they don't belong to you. Like they are
Yeah.
borrowed. You have this soul connection with them, but just like anything else, you can't force it. You just
Right.
can you're grateful for the time that they are there. You're grateful for the role that you play with them, but you have to hold loosely to that. And you just have to just go with wherever that flow is. And it's like, don't worry. Like I will always come to you.
Sometimes I think because my kids are older, like
Yeah.
30, sometimes I think we get at such kind of odds sometimes that I think
Yep.
maybe my purpose was just to have them, not to keep them. And anyway, like maybe
Could
my
be.
only purpose was to birth this person into the world. And then that was
Yep.
it. Like we don't have to stay connected. We don't have to,
Yeah.
because
That happens
women
sometimes.
sharing space, like I
Yeah.
would never. I was raised to always respect my mother, right? All the
Yeah.
time, whether she was right or wrong, just let her have it. See, when
Yep.
you let your kids advocate for themselves all the time, when they decide that you're wrong, they want to argue. You know what I mean? You want to
Yes.
go back and forth. It's something that I
Yeah.
don't know with my mom, but like,
Yep.
kids nowadays, it's always a debate. It's all these things, and it gets
Yep.
really toxic, right? Because young girls don't always know what they need, and a lot of times they're a product of their environment, and
Very,
it's
very much
nothing
so.
like what you raised, and it's nothing like people that you were share space with. So sometimes they are become negative because they're constantly like negative at work. Like, God forbid they got a boss that's up their ass all the time. They're a
Yep.
miserable human, and
Yep.
somehow you have to be miserable because they've been miserable all day at work. They
Or,
come
Yep.
home
right.
miserable,
You're right. Or
right? And they're like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
family members think that they
Same
have to
thing.
be around
Right.
that are
You
negative all the time.
exactly. And they
That
pick up,
just happens.
right. And then here it is, you're stuck with this like toxic person that the only
Yeah.
reason that you're tolerating them is because you had them.
Yeah.
Knowing good and hell well, y'all should not be sharing space. They should be over there and you should be here, right? And then you start feeling like, man, maybe I was just meant to have them and not keep them because
Yeah.
clearly we shouldn't be in the same space right now.
Yeah.
There's gonna be
Yeah.
smoke soon. Like the neighbor,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
smoke soon. So
Yeah.
this gonna make the news. Like if you don't get the hell away from me, like. And I mean, and these are people that you love because you think about it, you love these people so hard. Then when things go wrong, right, you still bring that passion into it.
Yeah.
As much as you love them, and as mad as you are at them, right? And then women, these are people that are of your blood. So they are very much like you and as fiery as you are. They're just as
Yes.
fiery and they're young. So they got that young energy and that young passion. You
Yes.
just like, girl, like, who the fuck? And
My God.
then you find yourself talking to yourself like, is she talking to me? I know the fuck she's not talking to me. Right. And
Yeah.
then you end up crazy because
Yes.
they're young and
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
Right. And are projecting onto you. So I don't know. I think that you are doing an amazing job over there with your 12-year-old.
Yep.
Right?
Thank
Keep
you.
going.
Yeah, I think you're doing
Yeah.
a great job. We love that.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that you are an older parent because
Yeah.
you bring what you need to the relationship. Like it
Yeah.
like me and G, because God knows we shouldn't have a 12-year-old right now. We should not have a 12-year-old. Not right
Sure.
now, not in this
Yeah.
stage of life.
Yeah.
See, but you are
Yeah.
set up for this.
But I am.
Everything about your life has set you up to be good at that at this stage of life. My
Yeah.
12-year-old would be in boarding school probably as we speak. I'm joking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Military camp because nobody can afford boarding school.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm very fortunate with her too because she's a special being. And I say that because like, yeah,
And
she's my
only
kid.
children are
And I mean,
special anyway.
they
Only
are.
children
They really
are
are.
no. Listen,
I know.
I was the only child, and I was a girl. And me
They
and
are.
Sharon was, man, we was locked in.
They
We
are.
can't. It's like your little person because this person don't know nothing but you, right? And
That's
even at
right.
your worst day, they love
Yep.
you beyond like they don't know it's your worst day. No matter what
No.
you do, it's the greatest thing ever, right? Like
Yep.
you are their whole world. Because my
Yep.
mama was crazy as hell, and I would be like, "Yup, that's her.
That's my mom.
That's Sharon."
Sharon.
And
That's
listen, and
awesome.
I still tell people to this day, every time she was so sick of me. Okay, I was annoying. She was so sick of me. Every time I would ask her where she was going, she would say, "Crazy. You want to go?" Like, what? Where you going? I'm going crazy. Do you want to go?
Hell
You
yeah.
want to go? I go get my shoes, right? Because I knew wherever crazy was actually going to be somewhere fun. It's probably going to have
Yeah,
girlfriend
it's gonna be
numbers.
great.
So I always wanted to go crazy. And every time she asked me every time I asked what she was eating, she would say, "Shit, you want some?" Like literally, what you eating? Shit. Do you want some? Yes. So I was always going crazy and eating shit. Okay, with my mom.
See, that sets you up for success in life, though. There
But
you go.
she was so sick of me as a child. She didn't get a moment, and I slept in her bed with her until I was like 13. In her like her whole life, I slept in her bed. She had me, and I was in the bed till I was 13. She didn't get a break.
My God.
Unless I spent the night. She probably had like 10 nights without me, her whole damn life. Because I couldn't spend the night at nobody's house because I couldn't sleep without it. If I went to somebody else's house, I couldn't sleep. I had to sleep with Sharon.
You guys are the same. That's exactly how G was too. She wouldn't even stay at her grandparents' house for that reason.
Yeah.
She just wouldn't. My daughter has a lot more autonomy, actually. She has, you know.
Oh yeah,
most of the time,
10-day vacation.
Huh?
She left you for 10 days? Yeah,
she did. She did. And I did ask her, like, on our little trip, I said, okay, you got to come clean. Like, I thought she would get homesick, you know, because she was gone for, you know, that was the longest amount of time she had ever been. And she was like, she goes, I said, did you? I said, if you didn't, that's fine, whatever. She's like, no, I did, Mom. I did. I would believe it or not at night, but during the days. She's like, during the day, I would. And I was like, really? Like when you were active? She's like, yeah. There were a few times where I was like, I just miss my mom. Like I want to go home. But I was like, but I'm proud of you that you worked through it and like you still found, pleasure in being there and like, had fun and whatever. And she's like, yeah, I did. But, I was like, okay, well, you did miss your mom. Okay. That's better. It's like, I want you to have autonomy, but like, don't be a robot. Like you can still miss your mom. Like what the heck, you know?
Listen, ain't nothing worse than I'm calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning to come back and get them because I have those kids. I have those kids that want to go and then they want you to come at 3 o'clock in the morning to pick them up from all the way across town or DC or somewhere because they done went on a trip and now they want you to come and get them. Been there and done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that's not the case, but yeah. I always look at it like, okay, it's a sign that I'm raising somebody who is fiercely, independent and can stand on her own and can work through it. Right. She's got skills to be able to deal with that. So I was like, there you go. You're just, that she's doing her. So like, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to wrap this up. So the things like, as women who have evolved through these stages that we have changed, that we are now sitting in either our mystic sovereign energies bringing all the other lessons that we've learned throughout life. The things that we will no longer be doing collectively are explaining our boundaries, shrinking ourselves, chasing unavailable people, mistaking burnout for success, feeling guilty for resting, saying yes when we mean no, keeping the peace at our own expense, waiting for permission, and apologizing for taking up space. Because when you reach this stage of your womanhood, your greatest glow up isn't your appearance, it's your authenticity. And it's about knowing who you are. And the woman you have become isn't too much. She's just the first version of you that's finally free. And so thank God that we are all those women. And we hope that we are also attracting more and more people, men, women, whoever, that are also being encouraged to become that version of themselves too. So, okay, that's where we're going to leave it, y'all. And
Good.
we will catch you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.